Today my little guy helps cut costs while we look at chopping a few GP20s. I have to put a center divider on the front of the cab. We dabble in a little dentistry and customize a custom, all in this episode of SOO The Milwaukee Road. I might as well just change barbers. You want to cut my hair, buddy? All right, hop up and cut it. This is a lot cheaper this way. You know, he's just the right height. Let's let him cut this. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Ready? Hey, you take that. I'll wet my hair. Looks good. Here, let me turn it on for you. You gotta hold it the right direction. Okay, here you go. Start cutting it. This could be a while, but it's free. What can you say? Make sure you get around my ears. I always worry that my ears look a little shaggy. I have a feeling you might cut my ear. I think it looks pretty good. Not bad. I ought to save a few bucks. You have a little hair gel for me? Yep. All right. Oh, fantastic. Oh, all in one spot. That's going to be great. All right. Well, thank you very much there, sir. How much do you charge?
I don't know.
You don't know. You might want to figure that out. Well, today it's going to be on the house. Okay, sounds good. Thanks. All right, welcome to the chop shop. Here what we're doing is we're chopping up some GP7s. Some of them are original Atlas with Kato drives, and a couple of them are just actually Atlas chassis that I purchased online and was able to get an undecked shell and start modifying. This is a SD24 cab that I've started to modify. It's the same with this one. I actually cut off the face of it, which is this style here. I cut the face off and then obviously started to modify. This is a Canon & Company number board that I flipped over, put some styrene on, sanded it down, put a Details West headlight, and it's actually a pile light. It's that style that the Milwaukee Road used. I have to put a center divider on the front of the cab, and then for the most part it'll get close to where I want to get. All right, the toughest part to do is actually this rise. You can see that little bit of a slope that you have on the cab. That's what the Milwaukee Road had. I can't exactly tell what the upper portion looked like, so what I'm actually doing is blending it up into the cab itself. I haven't seen any plates or any real good detail views of this, but I'm working off of photos and I'm looking at perspectives and seeing that I'm getting that little bit of a slope. What I've used here is actually dental filler. Dentists use it. They use ultraviolet light to cure it. And I just put a piece of tape up against it and set the light on here, which will cure the resin, and this then becomes rock hard. I can file it, sand it. Obviously, you can see I put some filler in it, and it's starting to get where I want it to be. The key with these is to get the number board in the center. A lot of times they get justified to the bottom or they are justified to the top when modifying them, but with the GP20s or SD10s, you want to get this centered. And I think we're doing a pretty good job thus far. It's getting pretty close to paint. The cab itself, I ended up, this is the original nose. I just cut it down, dropped it, and then sanded off the side doors. Still going to put some class lights on here. And then the horsed air filter, that is starting to kind of get detailed out a little bit. I've added some lift rings and modified it to accept it here. I've got to put a couple more exhaust stacks on here. I believe this one is missing those. When I did this one, it was probably about 10 years ago now. This is from, I think Fred Hyde mentioned, $982 to $999. They did these style with the front end chopped. They left the number boards in, and then they actually used this kind of a funky headlight up above. So that's what I'm representing here, number 990. And this is an original Kato drive. It's Atlas, either Atlas box, but it's a Kato drive. And anybody that's not familiar with those, if you recognize, this is the box that they came in. Like I said, it's Atlas. This older style had Kato drives in these Atlas units. They're few and far between now, it seems like, to find them for less than 30 bucks. When I purchased this unit itself, it was an Amtrak unit that I ended up stripping and creating, obviously, what you see here. But at the end of the day, being able to find a deal at a show, it's not the road you want, but it's actually the chassis and the drive that you want. 30 bucks wasn't bad to be able to get into a unit like this. The chassis on these, I bought them individually. They're like 10 bucks for the chassis. I ended up getting an undecked shell from the same seller. Again, I think it was like 10 bucks. So I was 20 bucks into basically a rolling chassis with no motor. At the end of the day, I ended up putting into this particular unit I ended up putting in this drive here. And this is a drive that I had sitting left over out of a unit that I'd purchased, and I stripped it out. And my dad actually has some for sale that he was selling that came out of, I believe it was A-Line that created them, and they called them Proto Power or something to that nature. So you can remotor your locomotives, but these things here, this is kind of the status that they're at. Again, they're going to be GP20s, and hopefully look forward to seeing how those turn out. All right, we're looking at an Atlas Ford 1970 Custom that I ended up stripping. I use wash away, and if I don't use wash away, you can use 91% isopropyl alcohol, and I drop it into a bath and let it sit for a little bit, and you'll be able to scrape the paint off like you wouldn't believe. In fact, in this case, it almost just falls off. I use a toothbrush. I end up just brushing it all off until you can get down to the bare plastic. And once you've gotten it down to the bare plastic, I wash it with dish soap. I prime it. I look for prototype photos. In this case, it happened to be brown. I detail the grills, put on license plates, backup lights, and so forth. And then I end up putting a rag top on this one, mask it up to paint it black. And as you see here, this is the final product. The headlights, everything is all installed, and it just adds a little bit more to a scene. It's kind of a dull and boring car, but I think a lot of the cars, you go from right out of the package, like this squad car, and turn it into something a little bit more unique. No details really happening here. Obviously, you can weather them up and do a little bit to the existing model, but customized something like this creates its own unique scene, and at the same time, it's just a little part of modeling. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode of SOO The Milwaukee Road, and you look forward to future episodes.